basically with the Derwin James, thank you.
Yep.
I have sources.
Credible.
We all do. Yeah. We all do, Pat. We all got sources, right?
Well, I mean, in the conversations you have, probably. I don't know if all my friends have sources. I only have a few.
I got one.
You do got one. A very good one.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you will say you have other sources, though, too, just to say
Of course, yeah. I got a bunch of sources.
Anyways, our NFL source said that players were told by Runyon and the committee before the season, or Derwin James and other players were told before the season, like, hey, any more of this type of stuff, suspended. Even though players can get suspended for first-time acts, there were some players that they said were habitual offenders, seemingly. Do you know how many players are in that particular department? And Derwin James obviously getting suspended is a big deal. Is the next one worth like 3 games now that he's been suspended 1 game? Do you have any more intel on that? Because this is a big deal, obviously.
Yeah, on the first Sunday of the season, my sources told me that I put out a story on ESPN.com. There were 15 players, roughly 15 players that got notices from the NFL. Pat, we've all got. So AJ's been an excellent source over the years.
What?
Excellent.
You rat! AJ Rat, not a hawk.
No,
I
knew it.
That's unbelievable. And we know AJ. He's lying, AJ, right?
I love. You know what I love? AJ just sits there stone faced. He knows I'm having some fun with it. He just sits there, no reaction.
I just having some fun.
Just kind of eats it all. All good.
It's Josh around,
But basically, the league sent out a notice to players and teams right before the start of the season, and there were roughly 15 players that got that notice. Derwin James obviously was one. And the league warned these teams and players that had some sort of history to this sort of behavior, that if there were any further acts that the league deemed not sportsmanlike, that they would face the consequences. And here was a player. Derwin James has been, in many ways, a model citizen, like a Walter Payton Man of the Year. He's beloved in that organization, well-respected. But the league looks at it like, hey, there are a couple of questionable hits here. And the league feels like it warned him. And the league felt like that hit on Sunday, which I'd be curious to know, AJ, as a defender, you find anything wrong with that hit or not?
Don't ask AJ,
I'm probably the wrong guy to ask here, Chef. Yeah, I thought it was a great tackle. I understand he made contact with his head, but I feel like intent needs to be taken into consideration at some time.
The tough play. I don't know. That's not my area of expertise, but he's going to hit the guy. Like, I don't know how I guess you lead with your shoulder more. He's leading with his head a little bit.
Yeah, but AJ thinks the thing wrong with that tackle is why'd the shoulder even get in the way there?
Right.
He had a chance. That's how AJ thinks. And that's how
I think Derwin's like at an angle falling down too. That's much different than if you're coming downhill and you take not a cheap shot, but you have somebody that cannot protect themselves.
Yeah.
I think it's different.
I think
that's a great point. That's a great point. Like how do you make sure he's coming in to hit him right here as opposed to right here?
Yeah.
Again, I've never made a tackle, so I don't know. But in real time and real speed, I can't imagine that that's a simple thing to do.
You never played tackle football growing up?
Pat, my mom would never let me. I always wanted to.
Where you hurt people?
You'd be in the window, like Schefter in the window, watch people play tackle football outside. And
I always wanted to, and my mom and dad wouldn't let me. They just wouldn't let me.
You've never tackled a person ever in your life? Never? You've covered football?
I've tackled people, Pat. Yes, I've done that. Yes.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. Can we get you in full pads this offseason?
Absolutely.
Please.
That's what it takes. I'm sure I'll incur some type of significant injury, but I am willing to do that for the sake of laughing at myself and have fun. Yes.
No, you're going to injure somebody else. Because we saw you run that 40. You can run.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You can stride. You can move.
Yeah. The Lambeau leap.
Lambeau leap, you got hops. So you combine the run with the leap, and then you just go Rydell to Adam's apple. That's what you're kind of looking for. And then we'll have you have a tackle on tape.
Yeah, easy.
Need you to have that. But back to your point about with Derwin James and the whole thing, that seems like a pretty standard tackle. Like maybe they'll be able to call 15 because there is helmet-to-helmet contact. So for them to get suspended for that, obviously a lot of people are very confused. Now.
Well, I also would say if he had no history, if there were no history with that player, I don't think he would have been suspended for that hit.
Yeah, that's what my source said, too. And it sounds like we have maybe a similar source that gave you more information than me, though.
What?
You hear that 15 players I got.
Yeah, it's a ton.
I got similar players. So there's 14 others. Or is it 15 plus Derwin? Is it Derwin plus 15?
I was told there were roughly 15 players. I don't know whether that's 18 or 14 or 17, but roughly 15 players.
How many? How was the text leading up to it? How long was the message? Because we can start. Are they trying to round down? Or are they trying to round up? Are they trying to sell?
The funny thing about it is, like right before the opener, I remember talking to a coach, and the coach is like, "Hey, what do you know about this letter?" I'm like, "What letter?" And he's like, "Yeah, the league sent out letters to some teams here, and players." And so that was one of my sources. And I'm like, so I started making some calls. Okay, what do we know about this thing? And was able to come up with the fact that a bunch of players, roughly 15, got warned. Players, I think you can look at any player that has had any sort of history with controversial hits. And we all know some of the guys that have been involved in them. Like, I called around to see, like, Mike Evans had been involved in fighting. I thought he might have gotten notice, but he hadn't. So that was a player who wasn't on the list, despite the fact that there have been numerous run-ins with Marshawn Lattimore. How many times have those two guys been at it on the sidelines? It's always great theater. But he was not notified by the league, despite the fact that there have been some instances of
so you can find out what players are on the league. Let's just send 1,000 asks.
Look up who all got fined last year for head-to-head contact. That would narrow it down a bit.
Oh yeah, because those are probably.
I included some names in the story of guys like I guarantee you Kareem Jackson got warned.
Sure.
Okay. I guarantee he got warned.
Okay.
He would be one that got warned because of his history. Any player with a history like that, I'm sure was notified and is included in that group of roughly 15 players.
I wonder how many safeties, linebackers. I'll be excited to see.
Yeah, probably more safeties, right?
Yeah, but then is there D linemen? Yeah, I would assume more safeties because of those types of plays right there and everything like that. But what if
any running backs for lowering their head? Is there any running backs on that list you think for lowering their head?
That's all the time.
I do not know that. I do not know. I tried to get the list. I was not able to get the full list.
Oh, maybe we'll try.
You'll get it.
Maybe your sources are better than mine.
Yeah, source. They would have multiple. We only got one. Let's stick with this team here. Justin Herbert obviously has an ankle injury that we've all seen kind of linger over the last couple of weeks. He had Cam Hayward landed on his ankle this past week against the Steelers. He ends up leaving the game. It looks bad. I mean, he's obviously laboring around. They got the Kansas City Chiefs without Derwin James. Then they have a bye week. They could steal 2 weeks here for Justin Herbert and just play Heineke and just kind of say it's the Chiefs, or that is not the case at all. This is Harbaugh's first year.
I don't think they think like that. I don't think Justin Herbert thinks like that. Like, here's a guy who's played through a torn labrum, he's played through cracked ribs, he's played through finger injuries, he tried to play last week. The problem this week, I see, not only do you have the bye, but Joe Alt's not going to be out there at left tackle. Rashawn Slater's not going to be out there at right tackle. So now you're sticking a quarterback who's got a high ankle sprain that got worse last week behind a patchwork offensive line. That's not a great combination going into the bye week. And so I believe that if Justin Herbert feels like he's healthy enough, if he can go out and protect himself here, that somehow he'll find a way to be out there, because that's usually what he does. But I also think it's interesting that when they started practice the last 2 days, he wasn't spotted either day at practice, but then ultimately was listed as a limited participant on both days. So I think that there's probably some gamesmanship going on here, probably, but Justin Herbert's as tough as they come, and if he's going to have a chance to play, he's going to try to do it.
No tackles. Derwin James is out. I know it's division rival.
Of course.
Chiefs, and they always play Chiefs very, very well. But it's like quarterback, long season. I'm intrigued to see how it all goes. Is bye week enough for Justin Herbert potentially? You know, that's like 2 weeks potentially of not
bye week plus no tackles protecting you.
Yeah.
Backup tackles on both sides.
Yeah,
that's tough business to be in.
That is a tough business to be in. That's
against a good defense too.
Almost feels like the NFL.
What's the NFL?
What's the NFL? Is the NFL doing this on purpose? Never mind. We're not going to dive too deep in that. What's the script say, Schefter? Seems like you got good sources. Go ahead, AJ.
Shefty, as somebody that doesn't get talked about a bunch right now, but Tua, any kind of update on him? Has he seen this doctor yet? Like, do we have any kind of timetable? Have you heard anything from his camp?
Was supposed to spend this week meeting with the doctors, but I think without knowing what was said between the doctors and Tua this week, I think here's what you could deduce going into that it was going to take somebody stepping in and being adamant, Tua, you cannot play. Tua, you can't do this. Because his mindset all along has been that he wants to continue playing. That's just the way that he's thought. Now, is there going to be enough information or tests going to be conclusive enough that some doctor, some family member, some friend is going to step in and say, Tua, this isn't happening? And I don't have the answer to that. I don't know what those conversations are that have occurred or will occur in the days and weeks to come. But I know this is a guy that every time he's been through a situation like this, no matter the severity of it, he has been determined to continue playing. And that's something that's been a part of his life as long as he's known. It's in his blood. It's what he's trained to do. And my guess is that's what he's going to want to keep doing, is keep playing. So unless somebody's going to step in and block him and shut that down, that would be my sense of how this is going to play out.
Schefter, we were told though that he wasn't gonna play again.
No,
remember?
no chance.
There's no chance.
Who said that? Who said that?
Everybody on television that talks about sports, basically, except for our show.
Well,
literally
listen, it's his life and his decision, his brain, right? Like, you look at it and you say,
not everybody.
I mean,
you
say, come on, like, let's be smart about this.
Agreed.
On the one hand, but it's not our life; it's his life and his decision.
No.
And he gets to meet with these neurologists and come to the conclusion that he believes is best.
Yeah.
Now, we all look at it from afar and say that's crazy. Like, what are you doing here, man? Like, it's enough. But that's not the way that some people think.
Yeah, some people whose entire life and passion have gone to one thing and haven't been able to win the thing that they are being paid. Like, it's just the immediate reaction of, like, he can't play, shouldn't play, won't play ever again. And I respect.
Well, that's the world we live in.
I agree. I agree. The people saying he shouldn't play, I respect. Okay, because you're doing it out of a place of empathy. I believe. But people saying like he can't or won't play ever again, it's like, I think you're wrong. Like, because getting a doctor to tell him that he can't play is obviously, I guess, possible. I guess you could certainly. But then he'll go to another doctor if he wants to play. If he wants to.
Of course. And Teddy Bruschi pointed that out on Sunday NFL Countdown. Doctors don't operate in black and white. Doctors operate in gray. They give you the range of outcomes and let the person make the decision about what they believe is best for them. And so, there may be a doctor who says, look, Tua, I don't think this is a good idea. I think that you're putting yourself at risk. But there may be another doctor, to your point, that says, hey, if you feel like you want to play, go ahead out there. And then there's also the financial component of this, right? Like, if there's a doctor out there, one of the team doctors says, hey, he's okay to play, and then he decides he doesn't want to play, then the money's at risk. Now, again, money's not driving this decision, but
the team doctor, that would be bad, especially with everything that happened with Stephen Ross. If Tua didn't want to play and the team doctor was like, nah, he's good, that would be and then they took money from him. Boy, that would be beef. That would be a massive.
Well, there's so much sentiment out there. So many people who believe that Tua shouldn't play. And so if he doesn't,
doctors, or you're talking about
no, all the internet doctors and all the media experts out there saying, he shouldn't play, shouldn't be doing this, shouldn't be doing that. And then if he decided that he wasn't going to do that, and the Dolphins tried to use, that wouldn't play well.
Yeah, that would be loud. That would be very. What I'm saying though is, like, we agree that those are scary things to happen. And I've had a friend, because of concussions, have to retire and everything, but that was on him deciding to retire. It's like we've all. I think I don't know about you, Schefter, but like we've all had friends that have potentially been, addicted to something. And then you tell them, like, hey, you should go do something. It's not until they want to, get off that it's a thing. It's like football and your passion and your livelihood and everything you're going to make money is very similar. So, like, if Tua wants to play football again and he feels like he can play football again and everything like that, he's going to find a doctor that's going to say, yeah, we are not hurt.
There you go.
You know what I mean? Like, I think personally. Now, with that being said, is it going to be hard for him to find a doctor to do that? I don't know. Like, is there going to be a lot of doctors that are just like, from the tests we've run, yes, you certainly have had a few concussions, but we think you're good. I guess we don't know. He was able to meet with the neurologist though, because I remember last time he came on, it was like missed schedule, missed time. They weren't able to get on, right? Wasn't it, Gumpy?
Yeah.
What was the
those
thing?
meetings? Those meetings were lined up for this week. I have not heard that they didn't happen, but those meetings were scheduled for this week.
The schedule's a line for the brain to be seen.
They better had a meeting.
Well,
all right. There better been a meeting, okay? We worried about this guy or not? We're about his health, want to play football, want to enjoy his life?
There's a hurricane.
Well, he was.
What about the week before? We got scheduling problems every week.
Well, they wanted his
Disney
brain
on
to
Ice.
really.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Went to Seattle.
See Moana.
Hey, flew Seattle. It's a long flight, Seattle.
Yeah.
Maybe the altitude will help out with the recovery. Sure. Maybe that'll be something. Speaking of recovery, okay, here's a good story that is brewing. Tua, do whatever the hell you think's best for you, brother. Yep. Stone Cold Steve Austin says.
Well, I don't believe in it, kid.
All right. Anyways, that's from a documentary. And there's other documentaries that go the complete opposite. We were just telling you what Stone Cold Steve Austin said. Christian McCaffrey, this story, fascinating. Because it kind of pops up out of nowhere for us. Not you maybe, but for us and the fans. People drafted Christian McCaffrey to their fantasy teams and then find out, wait a minute, no, his tendonitis or arthritis of his Achilles that we didn't know was Achilles is hurting more than ever. He's going to be out. Then he's on IR. Then we hear he's going overseas. And then we did a little research. Well, what's available over there? I guess there is anti-inflammatory treatment that's available in Germany that isn't available in America. PRP is available in America. This one's called like Regenicon or Ocon or something like that.
I believe.
They're able to do something to the blood and put it back in there differently. We don't know what he did, but these are all things that are being thrown out there. Now there's conversation trying to get him back sooner than later, I think was the quote that I saw from Kyle Shanahan floating around. Where do we sit with Christian McCaffrey, his future in this season?
Well, I mean, they asked Kyle Shanahan this week, is there any idea in your mind that he could sit out the season? And that idea seemed foreign to him, like the idea never crossed his mind. They have felt like they want to slowly try to ramp him up to get him back to being on the football field. He went on IR, which automatically sidelined him for 4 weeks. So that kind of takes it out of everybody's hands. And again, that was really a natural course of events here because you had a player who sat out the majority of training camp, who came back to practice and then felt more discomfort than he had at any point. So obviously there's an issue. There's an issue there. And McCaffrey's so dedicated. This isn't the first time that he's been to Germany, to go through. This is a guy that always is dedicated and committed to doing whatever he can to get himself the best medical attention and to get him on the football. It's so important to him. It means so much to him that he's always going to do whatever he can to get back out there. And let's keep in mind, I also think he probably feels, first and foremost, that's what he does. It's who he is. He wants it.
Yeah,
they redid his contract. He feels, I'm sure, a certain sense of obligation to get out there to justify that he's worth what this team invested in him as well. So, again, I think the plan right now is that they're going to start ramping him up here at some point in time in the coming weeks, and that they hope and think that he can get back there. I guess just from a common sense standpoint,
okay,
you can just say, we don't know what's going to happen here with him. Okay. You just don't know because he took off time during training camp, came back, and was worse off. Okay, so now he's taking off more time. He's getting treated. He's going to come back, and let's see how he's feeling at that point in time, right?
Yeah,
we don't he might be better. He might not. We don't know. But in their minds, they're thinking, they're expecting him to come back here in weeks, whether that's 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 5 weeks, whatever that is.
Whoa.
Well, we don't know. Nobody, they don't know.
9, 10.
They don't know.
Okay, so I think there's good news in this entire story, though.
What's the good news?
Well, I think there's good news in this entire story. What he's doing is an anti-inflammatory thing, allegedly, if what we have been told is happening. Not illegal, just isn't performed in the United States. A lot of people go over to get this done. This is
Kobe Bryant did, right?
Kobe, numerous. I think there's been numerous people that have gone over there because I think there's an FDA thing on our side that I guess it makes sense from their standpoint, but Germans are like, nah, it's okay. Yeah, we could do that.
Happens a lot.
Yeah, on a very regular basis, I think that particular thing is happening, and that's not what you're talking about. But in Germany, there's a medical procedure called orthokine in which anti-inflammatory factors are removed from the patient's blood, manipulated, and then re-injected into the painful areas. It is an anti-inflammatory treatment used to suppress back and joint pain. By admission of its proponents, it is only an anti-inflammatory and not a healing remedy. So whenever you think about arthritis, it's like, okay, so something's inflamed, they feel as if. So that's why the rest thing through training camp and then coming back and not feeling good is interesting, because why is it still inflamed if you haven't been doing anything on it? But at least it's kind of like, hey, this isn't a healing or a surgery. This is we're trying to soothe an area right now. It's like all very fascinating to kind of watch unfold. And let's stick with that team. Kittle's back though, right? Kittle's back full?
Yeah, it sounds like he's on track to play this weekend, yes.
Debo? Oh, where are we at with everybody?
It sounds like he's got a real chance to play as well. Like, I won't be surprised if Kittle and Debo are both out there on Sunday against New England.
Okay. All right, congrats to the San Francisco 49ers on that. Good luck to Christian McCaffrey in his recovery. And to you saying this is who he is, he's going to leave no stone unturned. He is so jacked. From a family of people that is so jacked.
He's so serious about this. I respect it. Like, there is not a player in the league that's more dedicated and committed to his craft and his body than Christian McCaffrey. Like, there are a lot of people that take it seriously. This guy is ultra serious about it.
Well, and then you go through and I'm sure there's people that are listening right now that are in the league going, shut up, Schefter. You have no idea what I do. I bathe in my own pee.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's...
We know one.
Well...
Hey.
That's what they do.
You pointing to Schefter, right? Pointing to Schefter?
I got peed on last night, Pat.
By who?
Big swag.
Here's the deal. No, here's the deal. We got 5 dogs at home, right? 3 of them are not doing well. 3 of them in their later years. So I'm watching the Giant Cowboys game. It's about 11:10 Eastern, and my oldest dog, 18 years old, she's blind, she's deaf. She comes wandering into the den. I'm like, oh, and I see her like go to squat down to go pee. I'm like, no. I pick her up. Ella, don't pee. I pick her up in my arms, but it was too late. She started peeing. So she peed all over herself and me last night. Right when the game, I missed the final 30 seconds. So did the Cowboys win? Is that what happened?
No, yeah, they won by 5, not by 8. Brandon Aubrey missed. Hey, you're a good dog dad there, bub.
Yep.
Good dog
Did
dad.
you hold her?
Yeah, we had
throw
to
her down,
give
did
Ella
you?
a bath. We had to give Ella a bath at 11:15. She peed all over herself. It was all over me. It was great. It was a great way to end the night.
Hey, you're a loving dog dad. I appreciate that. You need to, when you first tell us these things, though, you need to phrase it. The phrasing there.
A little differently.
Because there's a
You thought that was going in a different direction, didn't you?
Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
We did, Schefter. We thought you were taking golden showers for dinner last night.
It wasn't. Yeah, it wasn't going that way.
Respectfully, of course.
Happy to hear that. Anyways, on the flip side, though, when you talk about Christian McCaffrey, if that's whatever. You do whatever you got to do. Every day on his journal, golden shower.
Yep.
Again. But anyways, that's not happened. That's not what happened. These are things that all of our brains ran through. Christian McCaffrey, dad, obviously, NFL superstar. I think his mom and his grandparents, all Olympians too. His entire family is Olympians. A little brother
now.
Obviously going crazy for the Commanders and Cliff Kingsbury over there. It's like, I respect the fact, he does very much. That arthritis on the Achilles, though, I haven't heard of much. I'm interested to see how it all goes. Christian will get through it. We hope so. Congrats to Debo and Kittle into the Niners. Let's go to the Green Bay Packers. Ty has a question for you.
Yeah, Schefty, I think the way the line opened up earlier this week would indicate that Jordan Love is going to play this weekend against the Vikings, but the Packers have been pretty coy. He's still listed as questionable. And then on the other side, I believe Sam Darnold also listed as questionable with a knee bruise. Are all signs pointing to us getting Love versus Darnold on Sunday, or what are you hearing?
Well, I think we're getting Darnold for sure. And my guess and sense is we get Love. But I think they just want to see how he gets through the week. They want to see how his knee responds. Matt LaFleur yesterday said that they're ready to take this up to game time because there's really no benefit in them saying right now, okay, well, Jordan looks and feels great and he's starting. They're just not going to do that. And I think part of that is gamesmanship and part of it is they do want to make sure with the conservative training staff that they have, AJ knows that well, that he is okay to play on Sunday. So my guess and sense is, yes, it'll be Jordan Love, but I don't think it's certain just yet.
Okay. I just got my source says it's not about Jordan Love. This is back to the Derwin James suspension. Breaking. Pat Fryermuth was on the appeal call and said he didn't think it was a dirty hit.
Wow.
Well, he's a dog.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Beat you, Schefty.
Oh, not a golden shower.
By the way, it didn't do very much good, did it?
Okay. All right. Sorry you didn't break the news, Chef. But I do.
No, Pat.
Freiermuth.
if the appeal had been overturned, and the reason it had been overturned was because Pat Freiermuth got on there and defended, that would have been a great story. But
Instead,
again, here's the hit.
All right.
Here's the hit. And according to your sources, Pat Freiermuth came to Derwin James' defense, but obviously the NFL didn't buy that, and so he remained suspended for 1 game. It's a good little note. I applaud you.
Thank you.
Freiermuth
Add the little
is
nugget to your stories when you're writing.
Yeah,
Okay, let's
updated.
give proper credit, shall we? Boston Connor has a question for you, Shefty.
Yeah, Schefter, can
Yes.
you get a wellness checkup in Chicago? There's been some tweets talking about how, the Caleb and Waldron situation, kind of friendship, might not be going too hot. And then, of course, when that happens, old clips come out of players. There was one from the Super Bowl of Jackson Smith and Jigba talking about Waldron. What's going on up there? And are we looking at Chicago as one of those places where there might be some turnover going into next year?
Oh, no, not again.
Uh-oh.
Well, we got Connor turning up the heat on the Bears early in the season. Look,
Not me. Just telling you what people are saying.
Yeah, no. Listen, the Bears right now are being maligned. They're struggling early on, and so I think there were questions about the future of that franchise after last season. They kept things in place. They changed the offensive coordinator. It's 3 games in. It hasn't gone the way that I think they would like. I still think it takes time. When did C.J. Stroud start dialing it up last year in his rookie year? He started
week 1.
Yeah, and Daniels
week 1. He was C.J. Stroud, C.J. Stroud the way he was all year long.
We're only in the second year of C.J. Stroud. Yeah, we're only 3 weeks into second year C.J. Stroud. So you saying he was week 1 C.J. Yeah, that's not that long ago. Yeah, he was.
No, my point is, it felt like it took a little bit before we knew. Oh my God!
Oh, sorry, week 2. Diggs is saying officially week 2.
Yeah, he struggled against Baltimore week 1. Lost to the Colts week 2, but he had 2 touchdowns, no interceptions.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
I mean, again,
that's what I thought. Thank you.
It's 3 games. It's a new offensive coordinator. It's a new system. Let's see how it goes over a little bit. Let's not judge them after 3 games. Let's be a little patient.
We're supposed to do.
My source, yeah, we do that. That's the purpose of talk shows. Which is rude. I don't like.
Got it.
I don't like. We try to be positive as possible. Our source says they're also saying the vets, I guess, sat down in Chicago with Shane Waldron and had a meeting. It's like this is very early for all this.
Well, he put everything on the board that he screwed up this week. He's like, here's where I was wrong. Here's what I could have done better. And he's like, if the player's going to be accountable, I'm going to hold myself accountable. And he couldn't have been any more transparent to the team than he was this past week by showing the things that he felt like he did wrong, and they were obviously considerable.
Okay, so
we'll
I
see if they
respect
can get it
that.
right.
Maybe this is a unifying operation up there in Chicago. It's going to be tough for a rookie quarterback. I mean, except for C.J. Stroud, obviously, and maybe.
By the way, but C.J. Stroud, people.
Watch what you're saying here.
There's a warped sense of expectations. Like most rookie quarterbacks, almost every rookie quarterback does not play like that. So coming off a season like that, where he played as well as any rookie quarterback ever had, that's not realistic to expect for rookie quarterbacks. But what is realistic to expect is you see enough signs of hope, you see enough flashes of talent, you see enough signs of progress that you could say, this guy's got it. This guy's going to be a big-time quarterback. Like, you could see certain things all along. It's passing an eye test. And I believe that that'll happen with Caleb Williams, but it's just been a little bit slower through the first 3 games.
Agreed with everything you're saying about judgment of rookie quarterbacks outside of C.J. Stroud just last year. Jane Daniels will see with the Commanders this upcoming season that we're currently in right now. He looked phenomenal on Monday night. Now, will he be able to do that for the entirety of the season? That's kind of the rookie difference. Like good, bad. Let's get through it. We hope Caleb in Chicago is able to do it. We hope they don't have turnover either because Bryce and Carolina. I mean, we won't want that. So that's why he was being a thermometer, not a thermostat. He was just telling you the temperature on the conversation in Chicago. Can you tell us the temperature on the conversation between Joe Burrow, Zach Taylor, Lou Anarumo when they go into that room after Monday night, in the office after Monday Night Football? Obviously, nobody in Bengals Houday Nation is happy about what's going on right now. How's that going over there? And what is the vibe? I know you're a big Bengals. I know the Bengals people love when you report on the Bengals. But
they love that, right?
Yeah.
What's up with that?
Us too. They
What's
hate
up with
us
that?
too. I don't know.
They're a
Shefty.
little sensitive, Chef.
Yeah.
Oh,
They're
whoa,
so-
whoa! I didn't say that. I would like that to be known. That was Tone Diggs, Pittsburgh Steelers fan, AFC North rival. That's how that's going to go.
Oh, Tone, why do you say that? Why do you say they're sensitive, Tone?
Well, Foxy said it so eloquently last week. When these teams that have not been great for a long, long time get good, like so when they went to the Super Bowl and stuff like that, and you don't talk about them the entire show, they feel slighted because they feel like they deserve to be talked about because they haven't been talked about in forever because they've never been really good.
I think what they're saying, though, is we point out a lot of potential negative stuff as opposed to pointing out all positive stuff. They've had a lot of negative stuff for a long time. We got positive stuff now. Why you still point out the negative stuff? It's like, well, the negative stuff is literally happening only in your building, nowhere else. But with that being said, Cincinnati Bengals, we all had high aspirations for. Joey B has a full training camp. T's back the other night. Jamar Chase gets his thing figured out. They're rolling, and now they're not. And what was that conversation about? Do we have any more information? And how do we
Well,
feel?
I don't know the specifics of the conversation, but when a team starts 0-3, everybody's looking for answers, right? And I was talking to some people around that team this week, and they're like, that team will be fine. They're going to get it straightened out. Watch them finish 10-7. Now, we'll see. That's not a simple thing to do. That would mean they're going 10-4 down the stretch, which they're certainly talented and good enough to do. But when you lose a game at home, a Monday night game, to a team that you should be beating, I think everybody is searching for answers, right? Like, I mean, the facts are the fact. They got outplayed at home by the Washington Commanders on Monday Night Football when they're 0-2, when nobody was expecting that to be the case. Who thought that, outside of Chris Berman, who said on Sunday that the Commanders were going to win that game to me, outside of Chris Berman of the Swami, who thought that the Commanders were going to go into Cincinnati and win that game?
I think Darius Butler was big. Big Jaden Dayton was about to go bananas tonight. I think he did, but we were not. We thought Cincinnati Bengals were going to be able to do Cincinnati Bengals stuff, and then you watch that Commanders team, and they're seeing some of the sideline stuff with Cliff Kingsbury and all the players. It's like hold the phone, Dan Quinn.
Yeah.
Remember whenever he went in Dallas and was able to just do his thing.
Well, I can tell you this: they were a little bit worked up about the fact that they had been called a simple offense. You see that, Cliff Kingsbury there? That's what that's like. I was told that they were pretty insulted by that whole thing and that it became a real point for them. Okay, you want to see a simple offense? We'll show you a simple offense. And that simple offense didn't punt against the Bengals.
2 weeks straight, yeah. So Cliff Kingsbury is what we like to call in his bag right now, but the weapons on that team, phenomenal. So whenever you say they shouldn't win that game, it's like we'll find out at the end of the year how this whole thing goes. But I agree that the Bengals are going to be able to figure it out. Feels like Dallas Cowboys are inching closer to potentially figuring it out. But then, boom, carted out of the stadium. Tone has a question for you. Last one here, Schefty.
Yeah, big win for the Cowboys last night, but late in that fourth quarter, Micah Parsons goes out with, I believe it's being called a high ankle sprain. I know they have 10 days off. Is there any initial early reports on what's going on with Micah?
Well, that is the word, that it's an ankle sprain right now. So he's going to have more tests today. They got back really late last night. He'll have those tests today to determine if and when he'll miss time, how much time he'll miss. But that's going to be a problem. You see him limping there. That doesn't look like a guy that might be ready to play in 10 days from now.
Doesn't have anybody helping him, though, either. You know, he's dragging his own bags.
Yeah, carrying his own
No boot
luggage.
either.
Yeah, by the way, I mean, if they're going to get somebody to wipe Jerry's glasses, get somebody to carry Micah's bags.
Amen.
A lot of people saying that type of stuff about the Cowboys. But I think Micah, I mean, him dragging 2 bags around.
Yeah, we don't need Micah to be doing that. Get the glass wiper to go carry the bag. Pretty simple.
Is he saying glass or ass?
Glass.
Oh, okay.
But there's one of those too.
No, we're not 100% sure of all the ins and outs of the situation, but obviously we'll get the test. We'll hear it back. Micah Parsons, fun to watch. That defense played obviously better last night, even though the time of possession was completely different, getting a big-time win going forward. Last question, basically topic. Going into weekend, what's big thing we should be talking about? What are you talking about on Sunday during the countdown?
You know, I think you got all these quarterback questions that are going on right now in certain franchises, right? We got there's the big board, right? So we got, is Jordan Love playing? Is Justin Herbert playing? How is Justin Fields going to step in and try to lay claim to that job? With the Raiders, they're sticking with Gardner. How long? Like, again, we come back to the quarterbacks every time. And I know that on Sunday Countdown, we got a piece this week on the 2018 draft and how it's shaping this season, which it's pretty interesting to think about. Baker Mayfield goes number 1. Sam Darnold, who might be the comeback player of the year, goes number 3. Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen, also first-round picks. They meet Sunday night. Lamar wins MVP last year. Josh Allen could wind up winning MVP this year.
Wow.
So you got these quarterbacks from that 2018 draft class having a dramatic impact.